Alright, welcome back to the Yard. It is Luke here again this week, and this is a very, very cool episode, if I don't say so myself. It is Farrage, also known as Apocalypse from UVW. BYW legend, has been doing it since the early 2000s. Of course, doesn't wrestle anymore, but still, one of my favorite people from BYW, both as a person and as the wrestler. Very, very great kind of physical style. We talk about that in the podcast. We talk about all sorts of stuff, pro wrestling. And yeah, it was cool just to talk to him for a couple of hours and catch up with him again. Always been a really good friend ever since I first started speaking to him and got over the the intimidation factor because, very aggressive in-ring style. And when I first met him, I was a little bit intimidated. And I mentioned that in the podcast, so it's a bit redundant to be talking about it now. But enjoy. Here we go. Hey man, how's it going? It's been a while.
Why? No, it's changed.
Yeah.
Basically writing that book that I keep telling you about and waiting for heists on GTA to become a little bit more playable.
Yeah.
Because I'm using the third-rate one on the PlayStation 3.
Right.
It's the proper neglect one, basically.
Yeah, I haven't even bothered trying them yet myself.
Other than that, though, just looking for work.
Right.
Which, not really, that's not my main thing, though. It should be my main thing, but it isn't. But I just like writing. I like writing my book now.
Yeah, man. I look forward to that.
The whole wrestling thing, like, that's proper... it's not really disappeared, but it's kind of backburning right now. Everyone else is doing really well with it, and I'm just glad that they're all doing really well with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is cool to see. Did you ever want to do it more than Backyard?
Oh, very many moons ago, when I was in my teens.
Yeah.
When I was in my teens, it was like, do lots of backyard wrestling, get noticed, or go to, like, America and train somewhere. And then that Beyond the Mat came out, and I was like, yeah, I'm not paying 500 quid to wrestle for that IWF dude.
Yeah.
Proper... No, after a while of backyarding, I just thought, nah, it's not going to get better than this. As a job, it would have taken the fun out of it, I reckon, for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that sometimes. Depends how much you love it, really.
Aye, true.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Me?
These?
Well, I'm in Norway. But same as you, pretty much, looking for jobs, basically.
Sound.
Yeah.
I think you've got a bit more prospect than I have.
Oh, I don't know about that, man. I mean, I've got to learn the language properly first to really have a chance.
That's part of having a bit more prospect than I do. I just lift heavy things and get paid for it. That's the top and the bottom for me.
Yeah.
Just give us money so I can do me own fun.
Yeah. Well, you doing that for a bit, weren't you? Moving stuff.
Oh, I kind of live for that. I enjoy it. I enjoy that as a job. I don't like me jobs being overcomplicated.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing the paperwork if I've got to do the heavy lifting. I either do the paperwork or the heavy lifting.
Yeah. Well, how are you feeling these days, like pain-wise, from the wrestling?
I'm actually all right.
Yeah.
I mean,
man.
I collected a lot of weird, misshapen things in my body, but they're not like, like bones and stuff. My jaw doesn't sit right on my face. My nose is a bit crooked. I'm sure my shoulder dropped from some heat fest. And it doesn't bother us anymore. Like, I haven't went to hospital or anything for anything, so it's obviously just healed up. And I've just become some sort of weird hunchback of a beast.
That blows my mind, man, because I used to say, like, your spine must have been made of titanium or something. Just some of the stuff.
I'm pretty fortunate to have gotten away with what I've got away with, like.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I've been, like, when I look back on it now, it's like, some of the stuff's like, Christ, I'll never do that again, ever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to swanton off the top rope into fucking a ditch.
Well, tell us about that then. That was that Heat Fest, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, that's the one that's coming to my head, because that's the one where I felt like my right shoulder, like, dropped.
Yeah.
Lower than me left. And again, I didn't go to the hospital or anything. It was just like, it'll be fine.
I mean, jumping off the top of that ring to the ground is pretty hairy within itself, but that you actually went further down that little ditch.
Yeah, man.
What possessed you to do that?
the thrill of the moment, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
cool.
like invincible points in a wrestling match, and is it becomes less of a miracle that you're surviving a lot of stuff. You're just like, I understand this now. Now I understand how to dive off a building. while I've got the energy and the adrenaline, I'm going to do that.
Well, what I've been doing with these podcasts, I've been doing the past couple of, about a week, I guess, is basically asking people, when did they first start liking wrestling, if they can remember that far back. What was it that sparked it in you that you liked it?
Oh, well, the first phase was when I was about 4 or 5. And I
Wow.
went to my mate's house up the street, and he was watching like SummerSlam with The Undertaker and Paul Bearer, and I was like, man, that dude looks really scary. Like Paul Bearer, I mean.
Yeah.
And he was probably just like, I don't know, it was probably mesmerizing. And then I learned of Hulk Hogan, and that became a super mark for Hulk Hogan.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, and then I kind of fell out of love with it a little bit until secondary school. Like, it was fun to watch originally when I was about 4 or 5, and then in secondary school I met Barnes and all that, and he basically he actually did it, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what, you actually wrestle? So we ended up wrestling in like school and learning how to not kill each other on tombstones and stuff like that. And basically from there it was like about it was actually 99 or 2000. I think it was 2000 when we started actually videotaping it, like UVW and that.
Yeah.
But like, it was really the Attitude Era when I really started like enjoying it properly.
Yeah.
Like proper getting fully into it. But I've always been a mark for it. Like, I don't know. Like, I've always watched it. I've always bought videos of it. But I've never had Sky or never had anything, cable or anything in the 90s to watch like Raw every week or anything. But that's that.
Yeah. So when did like UVW first like start then? Obviously you were messing around with Barnes in school and stuff, but when did you say, right, let's actually do this outside of school and make it a fed and stuff?
Well, unofficially we wrestled in school for about 2 years or something.
Yeah? Alright.
But obviously, you're like surrounded by other peers who just think you're a bit of a freak.
Yeah.
And so we ended up going to Bensham. We'll go to Barnsley's and go to Bensham where he lives and wrestle on some grass down there in like October of 2000. And we ended up wrestling there for like a year and like collecting a really unique bunch of people that I really didn't expect to collect. And they all ended up like trying as hard as each other. And then we moved from there up to the college eventually. And that was when the community started opening up to it.
Yeah. How did it come about that you went to that college? It's quite one of those kind of famous arenas, I think, on UKBIW, but
It was a call by Senator Riley, Mr. Riley.
okay. Yeah.
He said the grass is nice and soft up there and there's nobody around and it's nice and secluded. Let's go and wrestle there. There's a few things we can jump off as well.
Yeah. It's quite a unique place to wrestle, I think.
Oh, aye, definitely.
Was the grass nice and soft?
It was really comfortable. The Bensham grass was like just wrestling on dry mud and dog turds all the time.
Yeah.
So it was really like unpleasant. You were doing like a spectacular power bomb into like a dollop of shit. But like really, them early days, like 2001 and all that, was when I was probably feeling the most pain. Like, because the violence.
Yeah.
Because of the violence. I always ended up in matches with the violence, and he would be relentless with destroying people.
This is Chad, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember when I first... No, well, I guess I didn't really meet him, but I remember the first time I saw him, we were at Newcastle train station, and someone just went, "Chad, violence!" And he just ran up and just kicked someone in the leg full force for no reason.
That's Richie. He's a proper jock.
Yeah.
He's a proper preppy. But yeah, he was good to work with for me, because I just didn't really show any fear. For me, it was like the show. Like, the show was really like what it was about, even though I was proper like getting dead legs and broken arms and all that, and probably like, and it was at the back of my mind, I was always like, this is gonna look sick later.
Yeah.
So,
what was it like when you started wrestling? Because obviously, I think most of us had just kind of messed around with mates, but you said you met Barnes and all that, and obviously you liked wrestling, and then when you started wrestling, when did you realize you had a kind of an ability to actually do it? You know, to actually take bumps and stuff.
No.
Just kind of happened.
That was very subtle for me.
Yeah.
There was bits of, like the first day I wrestled on video, there was bits of that was really good. Like I could do pile drivers, I could take stuff, I could sell stuff, and well, the thing about those days is everyone wants to do the move. Nobody really wants to sell anything.
Yeah, I suppose.
But and there was only 3 of us at the time, so we were all just marking out for that. Like, and step by step, we sort of raised the bar slowly and subliminally.
Yeah.
And it just got to a point where Barnsley's doing like a backwards 450, a moonsault into a bush, and we're like, what's this become? How did we learn to just proper lose our fear of diving off shit and dropping ourselves on our heads and stuff? Just mental.
Was it kind of like a competition between you all to see who could basically do the...
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Like, there was like, at the most there was about 13 to 15 people there, and all of them wanted to proper, shine on the card, if you want, and basically like steal the show. And that's what sort of, for me, made UVW the best. Just the best.
Yeah.
It's just like, nobody's here like doing things half-assed. Even if they do half-assed stuff, you knew they were like doing it. They were committed to it.
Yeah. When did you come up with the the name Apocalypse and using your signature moves and stuff like that?
Where did I get the name Apocalypse?
Yeah.
Whoops. I don't know. I think it just came to us. Like I remember a couple of people saying they wanted to be called Apoc as well, like in school. But they never went anywhere with it, whereas I just did it, and I was just like, I just need a name APOC, that'll do.
Yeah.
But it was a bit more than that. Like in its later time, it became a bit more. Like,
how?
Well, I don't know. I didn't expect people to be chanting it or anything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There was a lot. I don't know, just the reputation of it all. Like I could make Apocalypse is a pretty generic name.
It is. Yeah.
You expect like about 400 apocalypses in a backyard wrestling in every country, in any country, 400 apocalypses in a community or something.
Yeah.
But, like to have that, and then as well as that, my mate who used to graffiti, who's not with her anymore, he took the name on and basically spray painted lovely work all over Gateshead. Just apocs all over Gateshead. You can see them when you travel in on the train and stuff. And there was like, like I went with him a few times to do stuff like that, like on all-nighters and all that. And for that, like, it was the name that I came up with, and he was like, he enjoyed writing it, and I don't know, it became like almost a little miniature franchise with no profit. And I just enjoyed that. Like, that's what I've left with it. I don't know, can't tell you for sure how I came up with it, but I know how I left it. So
cool. And what about, I always forget the name of that move you used to do, like the Tombstone Slam. What was that called again?
Oh, the Holocaust.
That's right, yeah. How'd you come up with that? Because
the Holocaust is the name is just the same as the APOC name. I think I just remember hearing how devastating that word sounds.
Of course, yeah.
And the Tombstone Body Slam thing, that was just me trying to do something that nobody else was doing.
Yeah, I'd never seen anything like that.
Like, I didn't want to just use not a choke slam, but I didn't want to just use a stunner or a DDT or something for a finish. Like, it had to have a little bit of a, if it was just like a body slam, but it looked like a tombstone, it looked quite doubly threatening.
Yeah.
And I'm like the kind of person who should be pulling off tombstones. The kind of person who might be pulling off body slams something.
And what about the Lego Man? Because that was always pretty much insane, like, and unique as well, I think.
I think that came about on PAX Trampoline, well back in the day, and it was basically what it is. It's just a rigid frog splash.
Yeah.
Where it's, just instantly I thought, yeah, it's like a Lego man. Like if you made a Lego because they don't have many joints.
Yeah.
They don't have knees or elbows particularly. So that was the Lego man. Aye. That was pretty simple one actually. That one.
Yeah. But again, it was really different, and you've done some really hairy ones. Like,
Oh,
you did one off the goalpost at some event that was just
oh,
mad.
that was actually that. Like, in the terms of hairy, I would have just said I think of bocce. Of like, oh god, I have done some proper bocce.
Okay,
That
fair
one
enough.
off the goalpost. That's probably like one of the smoothest ones I've ever done. Because I don't know if you'll ask GBH, but like I don't think I made contact with him. Like I jumped up in the air off a goalpost, and like I just landed on my forearms and sprung off them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe I've just done that. I'm proper small compared to that height. But yeah, and apparently he didn't get hurt of it, so I'm happy for that. I'm pretty proud of that moment. It's a pretty overlooked moment, to be honest with you. There was somebody else done something off that goalpost as well. Like afterwards or before. And it was like really like close together to when I went down.
Might have been reckless with the diving headbutt or something.
I think it might have been,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Which was fair enough, you know what I mean? He's doing diving boinet headbutt off the top of the goalpost. Slamming his head into the proper very earth.
So what was it like just wrestling with UVW back in those days, like the college days and stuff, and just generally?
It was a good escape. It was a good escape from just mundane shit that everybody else was doing. Like, I don't know, being normal.
Yeah.
Just going out, having a laugh, and having a drink. And the alternatives to just kick lumps out of each other.
Yeah.
But like, and it, like, I don't know, it felt really good because we didn't really have a community. We weren't part of this community, this UK BYW, for a long time before, like all that. And it was like we were all trying to impress each other, like we're always trying to make each other like mark out.
Right.
But like we're all doing the same thing, so it's pretty hard to make each other mark out because people are always doing crazy shit in UV. So
yeah,
it was pretty mental. Like, and then of course you probably know when we came onto the scene, we were just like, we're the best. We're the best because we'd been pretty much stroking each other's egos for like 2 years solid. So it's like, fuck you all. You're all sloppy. We're proper clean. We're proper pristine over here. And we'll never let that go, man. We'll never let that ego go. It's just like, it has to be. That's what keeps us flying. When we start to get humble, then we start to be like everybody else.
That's a good way of looking at it, I guess.
But, on the other hand, like, before I ever met anybody, like, on the community, on the forum or anything, like, the impression you get is different to when you actually meet them.
Yeah.
And of course, like, we were sort of mildly trolling it when we first came on the scene, but like we were sort of like serious as well though about what we were doing. So when we came to meet other people and they were serious as we were, it was pretty much a marriage. It was just like, oh, right, these people are just extensions of UVW all over the country.
Yeah,
doing their crazy shit,
Yeah. What do you remember when you first discovered the forum, or even the term backyard wrestling?
Oh, the term backyard wrestling I found, God, well, it was the Americans Bonzi discovered basically, and then showed me.
Yeah.
And there was like some fed out of like Portland, Oregon we used to watch, who was doing pretty much similar stuff to what we were doing.
Nice.
But they had more resources, it seemed like, at the time. And that's where we heard of like BYW and I think it was like Garbage Everywhere Wrestling and stuff like that. They were pretty massive back in the day. They used to do some crazy cage matches and all that, and pretty much they were just like a obviously a garbage fed. They were proper just hardcore to fuck.
Yeah.
But like everybody was like, we were like that at the beginning. We used to just use barbed wire and tables and baseball bats all the time, light tubes and all sorts. And it was like, eventually we stopped doing that because we realized we could punch as hard as we could actually swing a bat, you know. But like the whole BYW thing, yeah, that all found that out by the just surfing the internet.
Yeah.
And the community thing, I can't really remember. Like, I think it was Bonzi again who was like, there's this community and we've got to show them how mint we are or whatever. Wasn't them words, but you know, it was kind of that attitude.
Yeah.
But I can't really like rightly remember the community. Like, I remember seeing Farrell early on, like seeing like a website that he had done for TWXW or something like that.
Yeah.
And realizing that it was only 5 minutes around the corner from where I lived. And, like, that's really where it all started for me. Like, that and probably Britfest too.
Yeah. When speaking of, like, the ultra-violent stuff, I mean, like barbed wire and tube, when did you first start doing that kind of stuff in matches? And was there, like, a trepidation of, right, I'm going to get hit with a fucking glass light tube, or did you just kind of go with it?
Just went with it. It was like, and the first day was the first day, probably, I think. As far as I can remember, we were going through tables, like, from day one. Like, there was always a lump of wood we could put each other through.
Yeah.
And then, like, we started finding, you know, them council cages and all that.
Oh, yeah.
It was, like, the first cage match we ever had was Barnsley versus Smiley, Riley. And basically, like, it was made out of 4 council cages, and it was down Bencham. It was in the first year of We're Wrestling, and it was proper immense. It was just like from there, like, we were always doing hardcore stuff, and like Barnsley really badly bladed himself in that match as well. I remember.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing the clip. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think there was a comp where it just shows you him lying on the floor with short hair, and he's just pissing blood out of his head.
Yeah.
That's pretty much like, that was the first mark of real extreme moments, I think.
Yeah.
In UV, and then it just followed on from there. I ended up in a cell match with the violence, where he broke me ultimately in the end of it. Luckily, at the very end of it.
What, literally broke it?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like, yeah, like I can't remember if he called Summit, and it wasn't. It was a bomb. He called like a pile driver, and he ended up doing a bomb. And I ended up being frightened halfway up and putting my arm out, like, finders, and just popping my wrist out of me bloody socket or whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it wasn't even the most painful thing that I ever felt in wrestling. That was the weird thing for me. But again, it was another margin of extreme. It was another level. And it was fucking lucky that was the last move on the in the match. Just like, thank God I broke my arm on that bit.
So what about, like, when you, again, started, well, Britfest 2, like you mentioned, what was that like?
That was like, that was pretty mental, because I don't know what possessed us. I must have just been, like, really good friends before I met them, but like Selby and Oz and Rizzo, I don't know if you know Rizzo.
No, I never met him.
But he was probably one of the early ones. He was like a friend and father kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I ended up inviting them to my mother's house to stay over for breakfast. I didn't even know them. I'd never met them before, like before a couple hours before they were staying. And me and Oz ended up having a match, and it was, I don't know, it just felt really comfortable. There was, everything felt really comfortable about doing Britfest for me. And, you know, I was a bit like, thing is, I was a bit of a spot fest before I was trying to like chain it all up, and like before like the later times.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I'll just go out and do a spot fest and make people mark out for these moves. And like, you know, that was how I constructed a match. And that's when I think it was Northern Britfest where I started noticing the way people like treat wrestling, like how they look at it and stuff. Like what makes them attracted to it and all that, and learning about chain and learning about submissions and stuff like that, rather than just wanting to pop out big moves and make people go mental.
Yeah.
So that was a bit like that was like a learning kind of experience for me. But like at the time, it wasn't like it didn't feel like that. It just felt like I was trying to show off.
Yeah.
Like I was young, still young,
Yeah.
right now.
Well, with Farrell and TWXW, and again, you said he was like 5 minutes away from you. Was there ever that feeling, well, I should go wrestle there as well, or was there like a divide between the two kind of sides?
It was a kind of animosity between the two sides.
Yeah, I remember reading about some of that in Farrell's book.
Like I can't remember the first time properly. I think it was the first time. Me and Bonzi went to watch a show, and I don't know if it was Pac or Farrell or whoever invited us up, or we just turned up or whatever. We knew, and like we showed up and we just ended up roping Pac to come and wrestle for us.
Ah, yeah.
And like eventually, it became a back and forth thing where we would all wrestle together eventually. But like at the start, it was like we need to steal Pac because Pac's like proper nut, and he was just nut. He's always been nut.
Yeah.
And we ended up practicing a match, like a three-way, me, him, and Pac, at that show, and like showing off what we could do. And then they had their show, and I can't remember rightly the show. Like it had like Steve on, it had like Scott Michael on and all that. Kurt, it had all them on, and we all became friends with them. But Farrell was kind of like, "This is my town, fuck you." This is my show, fuck off. And we were just like, no, fuck you, we're better. Like we're gonna take all this talent and go to UV with it.
Yeah.
And it became that for a while. And then they started doing like NAWs, the original ones. And I started turning up to them and wrestling with them. And just like I think even one time, I'll tell you this, like even one time Bonzi was threatened to say to me, he was like, "You're not coming back to UV. Don't show up to UV if you go to like NAW or TWXW." It was just like, what the fuck, that serious, man? It got that serious. But again, we're all kids, and like this was this was like a project, like, and flipping between projects is a bit fucking shaky in any kind of respect. Like a rival project maybe, Can't just jump to that company and expect to come back all open arms and shit.
Did you ever take it as seriously as some other people did? The whole thing?
Not really. No, well, like I got jealous a little bit, like, and like I got a bit, I don't know, possessive of what other people were doing. I was saying, "Oh, don't do that because I'm doing that kind of thing."
Right.
But I've never really got involved properly in politics. I always thought I'll just let the wrestling speak for itself. And because people are telling us I'm good at wrestling, why do I need to worry about the politics? People need to worry about where I'm going to go next, kind of thing. Like who wants us more, kind of thing. That was kind of at the top of my mind at the time. Like I wasn't really like, this is right and that's wrong. It was more like I just want to wrestle. I just really like to wrestle. And eventually after UV, it just didn't matter who I was wrestling for. There was no, originally in UV, you were like, yeah, I'd keep away from them because I don't know, I've got a bad feeling about them, fuck them, And then after UV sort of dissipated, it was kind of like, what, everybody gets a chance. Yeah. What's the point in being a dick about nothing?
Yeah. What was, how did UVW change when Pat came in? Like, did you all try and up your game?
Oh, aye. Like, again, it was always about upping the game. I think Pat was more, he was bringing something new to the table. It wasn't, like, it was the best. But it's not necessarily to say that he was the best out of all of us, like, all the time. Like, he was, like, doing something that was fucking nobody else could do, which made him, like, perfect for UV, because everybody was doing shit that nobody else was doing. So, But like obviously, he he was driven a fucking shit sight more than we were. Well, a lot. Well, I was anyway, and that's what kind of spurred me to drive a little bit harder. And in fact, the first time I think I went away, it was with him, and I wrestled him at ACW,
Oh yeah.
and it was an alright match. You know, it was just like a big flip fest, really. But it was fun. I had fun doing it, and it was just like, yeah, like Pac, he is on another level, but like he needs to be surrounded by that as well. He needs to be surrounded by other people on other levels.
Yeah.
So that's why I always felt like he suited us a little bit better than he suited like his former. But that's just me being cheeky, you know.
Yeah. When did UVW wind down then, and why did it kind of end?
People just well, there was a little bit of this thing with IWF, which was like an indie promotion.
Right.
Bonzi ended up going there for a while and ended up leaving us, like me and the Violence and a bunch of other people that run the show. And it basically, like, that's where Pat went. That's where little Craig went for a while. That's where the Violence went. That's where I went for a little while, just to train though. Didn't really get on the show. And now everyone went there. But like, and from that it just sort of, like, it got back together, but it didn't get back together ever, like, solidly ever again. It came back together, like, on a monthly basis instead of a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Until eventually it was, like, we were all very well, like, tied into the community. We'd already all kind of travelled around to Wales and Essex and all them kind of places. And we just ended up doing, like, Damaged Justice, not expecting that was going to be the last show ever. We thought we were going to get another show out after that called Discharge, but it never came. So after that, like about 5 every other month shows kind of thing, like ACW turned up and we had that, and then that was it. Like it never really came back. I don't think. I don't think it came back. No, it didn't. It didn't. Definitely didn't come back after that. It was a good thing to go out on as well. Like again. It's just one of those things where it wasn't planned and it worked out well.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't like a sad thing that UV died in a sense for me, because it was like we exploded and just scattered, and you know some people like just stopped wrestling altogether, and some other people went on to the indie scene, and some people just like me just kept on traveling, kept on moving, and that's what needed to happen, I reckon. Like, for me, like I keep saying, UV's this greatest thing ever to me, kind of thing. And for it to be all confined together in one space is like, it can't happen like that forever. It just needs to go. It just needs to spread out.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Tell us if I'm rambling, by the way. I'm trying to give you trying to give you some nice, like, detail to what I'm talking about, but...
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts on it, really. So was traveling out to interfeds enough for you at that point, where that was all you were doing to wrestle?
Yeah, like that. I mean, like I came back and I was proper hankering, I was proper needing the wrestle, but like I just let it die out, kind of thing, and until I would go to the next one, I would focus on the next one, even though it might be like a month to a year and a half a year. Like away, you know?
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like going away is so much. I don't know why I get so excited. It's just such an exciting thing to do, to just go somewhere like I've never been before. I hardly ever travel. I don't leave this part of the world, and to go even just like a few 100 miles away, and just be like, oh, this is nice. Now where's the ring base? Or where's the patch of grass?
Well, what was the was it Mind Games, the first NLW show you went to?
It was Welshfest.
Oh, Welshfest. Yeah, you went to Welshfest. That's right. Yeah. What was that like?
That was magical. I met Dan Nitro for the first time ever, and never looked back. Never stopped laughing. Never looked back. And who else was there? well, obviously all the Welshies were there the first time I met them. Rhodey and Johnson and Frosty and all them. Reaper. God knows where they are right now. But they were a canny clan. They were a bit of a wild bunch, like, and it was perfect conditions as well. That was the thing. Welshfest was proper warm, and it was summer, and it was really nice, and it was a fun time. And everybody was seeing us for the first time, and they were all kind of, it was weird. They were kind of beholding to me, and they were like, "Whoa!" It's like, what? I'm not like. I was just trying to stay humble. Like, I'm not a celebrity. You're gonna get really, really. You're gonna see how mundane it gets eventually. You know. I'm gonna grind you down probably. You know, you're gonna be fucking pissed off by the end of this. But yeah, it was the wind, and it was brilliant. And it was like, I don't know, it was like 3 days or something in Wales in a tent, and I really enjoyed it. And then Mind Games was like the second time I went to Wales, and I went to a Barnsley, which is like, you know, people's eyes were falling out of their heads.
Yeah.
And Gary Lions. And basically, like, it was pissing down all the time. Pretty much, it was just damp. But like, it wasn't like bad. It like the whole thing was sort of kept up by the fact that I had at least a couple of me initial mates that I knew there.
Yeah.
As well as the fact that everybody else's spirits were really high as well. And as well as the fact that Mind Games, there was like, the card was like fucking 20 matches per day. It was like some ridiculous super card. And the comp was like 2 comps, and they were both like 20 minutes long or something as well. It's like watching a movie. But like, the first few times were brilliant. And then, well, actually, everything about it's just brilliant because it's such a rarity, you know?
Yeah.
Going to Essex or going to Wales or going anywhere, it's just, you don't do it often. I don't do it often enough for it to be, you know, nah, how you doing, mate? Yeah. So, it's not never so.
Yeah. What about the that match you had at Mind Games? Was it Mind Games where you had the little Hell in a Cell gimmick with Oz?
Yeah, that was Mind Games, man.
Yeah.
You're going to have to remind me of some of the matches I had. I'm just trying to remember the experience.
Yeah, no, I remember that one. But I wasn't sure if it was Mind Games or not.
I mean, like, that was a good cell match because I didn't break my arm in it. And it was good in terms of, like, everything seemed to go quite smoothly for a really shaky style of match, you know? And It's like, you know, it was started out on top of a council cage, made it like, you know, made a box of council cages, basically. Yeah. And it was like, this is pretty, like, you know, shaky already. And then it just, but like, everything went according to plan in that match, which is pretty good for me. Because, like, usually those type of gimmick matches, they're full of fucking things that have just gone wrong. You know?
Yeah.
Like, a bomb to Oz through the side of the cage. I never thought I would break the side of the cage. But, like, I did. And I was just like, this perfectly emphasizes how good I'm getting it right now. You know? But I think it was that, and I wrestled Birch as well. But I think I wrestled Birch really high. That was the first time I was really high to wrestle.
Right.
And I was like, I can always remember, like, not, like, you know, pausing and doing little stalls in the match and being like, oh God, what do I have to do next? What do I do? I'll panic like that. And that was a pretty good match, to be honest with you. It was just a solid slop fest.
What's the difference between wrestling high and not wrestling high? I wouldn't know, so.
I reckon you remember a lot more not wrestling high. I just think wrestling high, it helps you calm.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, I get ridiculous butterflies when I'm about to have my name called and stuff. I'm like, what? Why do I feel this nervous? Like, this is like, should be like routine, you know? But never. Like, even now I still think about it, like, whoa, you can feel the hype just straight, like, creeping back in. And it's weird like that. It, like, wrestling high though, it's like, I think it's too ordinary. So like you're too ordinary with it. So you're not like you're neither spectacular or nervous. You know.
Right.
I think it's the nerves that help you in the end, like the adrenaline. It's like slash adrenaline basically.
Yeah.
It's not just wholly just I'm going to be a nervous wreck. It's like I've got so much energy pumping through us that I don't know if I'll if you'll be able to keep up with us. Whereas getting high is like I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with you.
Right.
So that was what I always felt with that. But I still, I did dabble. I did always have a little joint or something. I never got proper wrecked, but I always had a little joint or something before a match,
Right.
after a match. But there was a balancing act really for me, just a balancing act. But plenty of times I didn't wrestle high. Plenty of times.
Yeah.
Can't remember any of them, but can't remember any of the ones I got high for either. It's a weird thing wrestling because I finished the match and I'm like, what did I do and how long did I do it for? It's like you wrestled for 30 minutes, mate. I was like, what? I've just started. I just started the match.
Yeah, I feel like most of my memory of matches that I had usually comes from the comp.
Yeah, like the comp really helps, man. Like without the comp, there's only a few significant moments in wrestling matches that I'll rightly remember, and it's only because of the pain that I might have been feeling at the time, not like how spectacular it looked. Excuse me.
Around that time, like 2003-ish, I guess, what kind of pro wrestling were you watching and kind of being inspired by with your own wrestling?
During 2003.
Or even before that, I mean, just around that period,
Like that was probably me. Like 2003 was probably a really obscure time for me in wrestling because it was full of like people like Bonzi and Oz and all that getting these rare tapes from Japan and all that kind of stuff and showing us I think it might have been total non-stop action at the time. I think it might have just started to arise at the time with Amazing Red and Low Key and all that. And that was that era. But the era before that was WWF, WCW, ECW, basic Friday, Sunday, Saturday, whatever.
Yeah. Well, who are your favourites?
What, in out of everything ever?
Yeah, why not? Fuck it.
Oh, Christ. Well, obviously, you've got to say Foley. Foley is a kind of big inspiration as far as a threshold for pain and all that. A gimmick as well revolving around that threshold for pain.
Yeah.
The whole package just seemed really attractive to me. It was proper, that dude right there, he's clearly helping bullied kids worldwide with this gimmick by helping them deal with the pain. And I just sort of liked that. And at the time, while that was going on, I was a big Jerry Lynn mark. I think I just really liked the fact that he could rival Rob Van Dam though. And that was my favourite type of matches, them two doing them matches. And also, if I have to give a foreign view as well, I've got to give a foreign wrestler, a chance.
Yeah.
It's Masato Tanaka. He was basically pure diamond. He's just rock, and he takes slams to the face like there's just, what are you doing? You didn't even hit us there. It's like getting hit with a feather dust out of him. And it was absolutely immense kind of adrenaline. I just get watching him take chair shots and be all hulking up from it and all that, and just insane. But yeah, so I've got me hardcore American, me technical American, and me hardcore / sort of kind of technical Japanese man.
Nice. Well, you had that kind of thing yourself in a way, that kind of aggression and intensity in matches.
Oh, it was purely the Masato Tanaka
Yeah.
inspiration. It was it was a lot of that. There was a lot of that showing through. I love the roaring elbow and all that kind of stuff. And I like doing, there's bits of it all around what I do. I do spinning DDTs, I do diamond dusts, I do roaring elbows and crane wings and all that kind of stuff. I just loved all that kind of action. Eventually, started out hardcore and then it ended up being like, yeah, you can just club people with your fists and your feet, and it's just like the same equivalent. People are marking like that pure steel chairs.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's them three who are me like, you know, they're the favourites to count off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of them. There's like Vader and stuff like that. You know, Stone Cold, have to say.
Yeah.
Hogan, have to say. There's a bunch of them. Like, the thing is about the Golden Era and the Attitude Era and all that, is that I like them for different reasons. Like, the Attitude Era, like, the action, but the Golden Era is kind of like all about the talk before the action.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like makes you... It's like, I'm going to make you tremble at your knees through a promo. You know, like, if you listen to, like, a Legion of Doom promo or something, man, it's like proper... These people, I don't even want to see them in the ring now. I don't want to meet them in the ring. They've just proper chewed us to death on the mic.
Yes.
But, like, in the later times, it was much more about, like, the actions. Like, what people do. Like, Foley just gone, yeah, Undertaker just throws off this 20-foot cell. And we'll just get a reaction from that. It'll be good. And Undertaker being like, you're fucking crazy. I don't want to do that. And then Foley going, fine then, I'll just dive off. And make it look like you threw us off.
That match is just... It's one of those like iconic moments, but you just watch that full match and it's just ridiculous. It's still to this day.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Whole thing.
Like a structured match, if you watch it, it's like just stop-start, but it's because it's so stop-start and it's like a big incident. Yeah. It's not even a match, it's like a big incident. It's like a big fucking incident, like an ambulance on the scene and all that, and fucking car crash and shit like that. Yeah. Vince McMahon coming out to inspect, looking really concerned and out of character and shit. And then Terry Funk getting choke slammed out of his shoes. Just to measure, you know what I mean? But that era, man, that's my era right there. And I don't know if you've got a question about what's happening today. I don't really know what's going on today. I pick up little pieces now and again. I just know that it's got to be copying most of what's already been seen before by me.
Yeah.
Like there is a lot of material left to use in the wrestling world, but they're just not like they're just because of the demographics always, like, you know, always resetting. It's always about a 5-year-old or something.
Yeah.
They just keep hashing out the same stuff in my eyes. But, you know, like, I won't discount them completely. I'm sure they still pull off some spectacular stuff now and again. But most of what I see today is just like what I've seen already.
Yeah. I've said for years, with the WWE these days at least, you always have to dredge through a lot of shit to get to the good stuff, but it is there, you know. If you look hard enough.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to insult anybody who watches it still and all that, like, at my age or whatever, you know, our age group kind of thing. Like, I just think you're clinging on to something that you're hoping that it's going to change, and it doesn't have, you know what, it doesn't have to change, it doesn't need to change, because there's always going to be new 5-year-olds in the world who watch this for the first time. So, you know, like, the whole thing, like, I don't know, just pull something out the hat. I mean, fucking the Kurt Angle where he sprays milk into the ring instead of Austin spraying beer into the ring. It's kind of like that, for example.
Yeah.
Not so broad as that, but like in like say matches, I know when a hot tag's coming, or I know when people are going to take the advantage again and stuff like that. And they don't, like, there's not that, they're not going back to the base and just changing it completely. They're just, like, taking what they've seen and then putting something else there instead of, like, a suplex afterwards or something, a DDT instead or something.
Yeah. One thing I'll say, I mean, I still follow it, I'm still a fan, not as much as I used to be, but one thing that they do a lot is whenever there's a big match on a pay-per-view, they'll always go to the finisher near-fall stage, where it's just like, finish, kick out, finish, kick out. Yeah. And it's like, when Austin and Rock used to do that, it was like, fucking hell, you know, you rarely see this. But then these days, it's just the status quo, you know.
Again, like, The Rock, I mean, at the time when he was the main man and the champ, I was kind of getting a bit sick of him. But when you look back on him, and you look back on Austin and the way their chemistry kind of is together in the ring, you like the way they kick out. It's the way they kick out. You know, it's not just because they kicked out. They're not just going through the motions. It's like the proper like I'm passionately kicking out with your shit right now. Like I'm gonna take the advantage because I'm beating you. You know,
Yeah.
rather than it's just my turn to take the advantage. You know.
Yeah, I suppose.
There was a lot more. It seemed a lot more intensely heated battle, like you know, fight wise,
Mm.
and I just like that. That would still get me going today if I saw it. You know, WWF just done like had two brawler type of people or who like really got your fuel going and stuff like that. And they might do, but I've never seen it. I've never seen it for a while.
Yeah.
It's just like a performance art now kind of thing where people are going through the motions kind of thing rather than feeling it. Feeling passion, man. Of the power of the warrior, man.
You still a fan though? And do you think you'll always be a fan of wrestling?
I'll still look at it. I mean, like, I go on the subreddit, the Squared Circle subreddit,
Right.
just to see if Pat gets a mention. Really, a lot
Right,
of.
yeah.
But like, I've been told to watch NXT. I don't know what your feelings are on it. Is it like, I don't know, is it like a proper core version? Is it a wrestling orientated company, like sub company?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. It's like, I know it's hard to explain because they do it in a really small building, so the crowd is just like nut every single show, pretty much.
That sounds really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you have Pac putting on these ridiculous matches, even other wrestlers as well. It is really good.
Sounds like, it sounds like something I would watch. I'd probably watch a full show of that to get a grip on what the actual modern day wrestling scene is like, rather than just picking on Roman Reigns or something like I've been doing.
Yeah.
But again, I did watch that. I watched the Royal Rumble. Well, I stuck it on about halfway through. I missed probably the first two matches, isn't it? And I don't even know how big a card is now, to be honest with you, if I've missed the first two matches and just watched the Rumble.
Yeah.
But for that, I don't know if that kind of person's ready to be The Rock or something like that, or to be some variant of like a main eventer type of person. But then Steve-O tells us he's good. Other people tell us he's not good. He's not ready. So, and just from looking at him, he doesn't seem very ready, to be honest with you.
No.
That's my personal opinion on it. Just from gauging on the past, who was a champion and who had that an attitude, what kind of attitude they had, and he just doesn't seem like he's made up his mind what he is yet.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, there's a lot of people like that. It's like, what is my identity? Am I having an identity crisis? Like one day I'm a ninja, the next day I'm a cowboy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't think I'll ever not watch it, but I don't know. You just got grinds on you. I mean, they do Raw every week, 3 hours. It's as long as a pay-per-view. It's ridiculous,
But is it a full card? Is it like 5 matches and stuff?
Yeah, but there's the opening promo, which used to be 10, 15 minutes, can now go 25, 30 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
They just, it's just so much filler, and they drag everything out. And
To be fair, I'm not unfamiliar with that. Triple H went on for, I remember, 45 minutes of a SmackDown thing. And I was just like, Christ, is there not going to be any more matches on? I'm turning this off. And it's the same old blow by blow bollocks as well. In a promo that lasts 45 minutes, that you've got only 10 minutes of information.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're just dragging it out, and you're like, fuck. I know you're meeting them at Survivor Series for the title. Just get on to the point where you're going to see a cage match, but you're taking 20 minutes to see a cage and match. And that gets to us a little bit. If they still do that format as well, it's like, no, man. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
But I'm quite surprised to hear that the card's 5 matches long. I always thought it was like a 3-match card with 4 promos.
No, they do more than that as well. I mean, it depends really. But again, I haven't watched a full Raw show in a long time because it's just
It's hard to watch.
it really is hard to watch. I just skip through, or
I usually just like if somebody tells us there's a pay-per-view on, I like end up watching it if I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah.
And just have it on in the background if I'm doing something else. And like there's a few people. I mean, what was that? I can't remember that guy's name. He was part of the Shield. He begins with an A. Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose.
He seems, I don't know, he seems pretty like nut, like ordinary kind of guy nut.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised, like, if he hasn't won the belt, I know, like, by the next year or two. And if he hasn't already, I don't even know.
I mean, he got really hot, like, late last year. Like, everyone was loving him. And then they tried to, I guess they watered him down a bit and made him do stupid comedy segments and stuff. That didn't quite suit him,
It's silly. Like, why? The guy's clearly, like, a serious type of person.
Yeah.
And it's the same with, like, I don't know, again, like, properly the whole events of this, but isn't it the same with, like, what's his name? Fucking American Dragon?
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, him. Like, the proper pushed him, and then they just went, nah, you're not getting out.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, to be honest.
And it's just like, fucking hell, man. You're proper pushing, like, the wrong buttons here. For, like, years, you're doing it. You're not doing it, like, just for one day. You're planning this disaster.
I think they're just scared of when Cena's going to stop, and they need another guy. And I think...
They've got, like, 20 other guys that could easily do Cena's job, I reckon. I don't really see... I mean, like, Cena, probably... He's alright on the mic. He's not really, like... I don't know. He's not really appealing to me.
That's fair enough.
I don't know what it is. It's not like... It's not even his gimmick. It's just nothing about him. There's... Like, his wrestling ability, his mic ability, it's all just...
Yeah.
Like, how is this any better than what Stone Cold was doing or anything like that? I don't know. Like, that's where I'm thinking, how is that even comparable? Why are they even worried about John Cena, like, disappearing?
Well, because of the money he makes them, I guess. Just the merchandise and the...
I suppose there's always that, isn't there?
Yeah.
It sort of gets in the way of the actual Raw wrestling talent, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
But, again, though, that's the monopoly of wrestling, as presented by Vince McMahon. Because he can do what he likes. He's got a monopoly on the thing. He can make it as dog shit as he wants, and people will still tune in because there's nothing else to tune into. And what you gotta do? You're gonna watch. What's the other one? Fucking is it TNA still?
TNA, yeah.
You're gonna watch that. You're gonna. I would only watch that if I saw Scott Steiner on it. Scott Steiner for the win. He should be champion of TNA for like 10 years. 10 solid years. That would I reckon that would work. Just having just getting over on people, just getting a big entourage of proper muscle men. Just fucking people up for years.
I think maybe TNA management need to give you a call about the booking.
It's got to be better than whatever they're doing. They're probably doing something with Hogan again.
No, he's back in WWE now.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Is Flair still gone?
Yeah, he's around, yeah.
Is Farrell still gone?
Yeah.
Still strung in the backyard?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he's down in Essex with RCWA. I don't think he wrestles much, but he's basically doing the same thing as NAW, running, shows and stuff.
Oh, man. Well meant for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
That's what he likes to do. That's what he likes to do. Didn't he make like a bloody TV series or something? Like a episodic kind of YouTube show.
Yeah, like a little drama thingy.
It's a drama, was it?
Yeah.
I'm sure he linked us to it. I ended up like putting it on my favourites and on my other computer, and then never watching it. But I don't know. Farrell travels in mysterious circles as much as Ric Flair, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And he got like a band as well.
Yeah.
as well as that, like, as well as Farrell, there's plenty of people in like the community, our community, that has like proper ridiculous talent.
Yeah.
Or like in other revenues other than wrestling. I mean, there's a bunch of fucking sick wrestlers, like Hitch and fucking Birdie and all that now.
Yeah.
I just keep seeing them pop up on my Facebook all the time. And then there's like ads and stuff, and fucking Pac obviously, and there's a whole bunch of people I reckon that are just out there that we know just got untapped talent that they haven't yet fucking yearned out.
Yeah.
I just think that's what I'm trying to do with this writing. Like, I feel like I don't know if I'm by my own standards, I feel really like kind of good where I am, like, about literacy. It's like, even though I'm not fucking conveying it in the best words possible right now,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, I love descriptive writing. I love writing this story that I'm writing. It's got nothing to do with what I've previously done, and it's just like fresh, and it's mine. And like, I can't wait for everybody to read it, if everybody reads it at all.
I'll be there first day, man.
Yeah, man. Cheers. Appreciated. But yeah, it's slow going, man. It has been so slow going. And
That's probably where it's going to pay off, though. You know?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's had its on and off, and obviously, like, you've got to juggle doing life in between actually working on this project, because this project isn't producing anything. So it's been bits and pieces, and I'm working alongside a mate, so it's whenever he gets the time as well. So, like, it's pretty mental, I like that. I think that the community, the UK BYW communities, kind of brought that out of a lot of people, like the creativeness. I think it was like, isn't it Mark?
Yeah.
Mark Flynn or something?
Yeah,
stage acting and all that. And that's proper nut as well. Like, I'm just thinking, that's got to be fucking harder than wrestling. That's got to be, because you're on there for 2 hours and you've got to remember your lines. You can't just improv them all the way through. It's stuff like that. The creative side sort of came out in wrestling for all, and it's up to us now to either continue the wrestling to keep on that creative spark, or to see how you can apply that to some other thing. And that's pretty much what you're doing as well,
Yeah.
Your video editing and all that, and your
man.
absolutely countless amount of videos on your YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which I peruse. I actually hot linked it to somebody last night, or just some random American lass.
Oh yeah.
She just got hooked on them as well. So.
What video?
I think I was showing her me going loop schoon and all that, drinking, being drunk, being a tit like I usually am, and she ended up going from there and like onto your page and just looking at loads of videos, and then just laughing at them. And I was like, I'm not even on half of those. It's just like she was laughing at the Welsh lads and all that.
Yeah.
And, it seemed like a funny bunch. Like, they are a funny bunch. Everyone's a funny bunch in our community.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you. I did one with Dell like last week, and he said I should ask you, what is a loop schoon?
Loop schoon.
The people need to know, what is a loop schoon.
It's a scoop of loon. It's a scoop of loon, and it was either Dell or Grant, aka Tempest, who came up with it.
All right.
And it was back in the day where it was just like proper loopy, man. Proper loopy. It's just like, look at Sid, man. Look at Sid, he's proper loop. The proper loop schoon in the ring. Yeah, I don't even remember what the first context of it was. It was definitely something in backyard, though.
Yeah.
It was just like fucking absolute loop schoon.
Speaking of Sid, where did that little inspiration come in the matches that you'd have, and you do the old the handshake and the choke slam?
When he got hired by ECW, to just come in and be a monster and like no sell everything and just fucking choke slam and powerbomb people. And like, I think it was the Dudley Boys. You can find it. I don't know what event it was, but Sid came down to the Dudley Boys and like, it was a big confrontation. And it was the Dudley Boys were saying, "Oh, there's no man enough to get in the ring with the Dudley Boys." And fucking Sid burst out through the curtain, and everyone popped and went. He was like, "No man, fucking tough enough. No man, fucking man enough." And just climbed in the ring and was just. He was probably looking at, like, I remember, I think it was Del Telters. He's like, look at him. He's looking around for approval from the crowd, and like for the proper telling him to do power bombs and choke slams, and he's just doing them. And I was just proper stitched up by that. I was like, he's a proper. It's like a dog who can perform ridiculous tricks, like a really vicious dog.
Yeah.
But like, and from that it was just like. I marked out for Sid in ECW. Like, he didn't need to be any more than he was. You just needed to bring him out every pay-per-view and just fucking murder whoever you didn't like.
Yeah.
And I ended up... I don't know why. I think it was because, like, Farrell used to get a kick out of me doing the... You know, when Sid turns to the crowd for approval.
Yeah.
I used to just do that in front of him. Probably just shake my head like I'm looking at the crowd and all that. And then eventually it got implemented into a fucking match, and I think it was down at fucking Betterfest, and I just no-sold Birch, and ended up fucking. It was like I ended up chokeslamming him, head neck chokeslam, and then bombing him, and that became it. From there, it was just fucking Sid all the way. I can't remember properly. Like it was probably before that, but definitely. That was probably the most famous first Sid.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of famous Sids, but Birch really fucking sold the shit out of that joke. Like, he proper destroyed himself, that kid. Love that kid a bit.
Well, back to, like, those days, like, 03, 04, kind of like the height of the whole community, I think. Even though I wasn't around, but from what I understand. Who were your favourite backyarders, if you had any? And was there anyone who you kind of thought, I really like their wrestling and I want to have a match with them?
Let's have a real think about it. Well, there was definitely Dave. I remember wanting to wrestle Dave, and I remember like it was more like I'd been introduced to a lot of people, like. And then wrestled them, and then I really liked them, and I really would like to wrestle them again.
Right.
Rather than like, I just spotted him, and I really like to do a match with him.
Okay.
But like, yeah, like, I think Selby. Like, I really wanted to do a match with Selby, and I've only ever had one match with him. I think I've only ever had like a match at Northern Britfest 3. You guys weren't invited.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that match. That was a good match. I always thought we could do another one like that, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah.
And it was the same with you. Like, the first time I wrestled you, I didn't really know about you. Yeah. And then, like, I figured out much more about you after I'd wrestled you. And I think, we pulled off some fucking solid matches, to be honest with you. We've got some sick fucking parts to our matches.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. There's some shockers, like the nail. The nail's probably like a really sick wrestler, I reckon.
Yeah.
He's perfect for me anyway, and like I really enjoy wrestling him. There's a lot of people like I don't know. Like I've never really like I've always just been the guy who was like I'm down for wrestling whoever. It's a big gamble, but we'll find out who's good and who's bad, and it turns out most of you are actually fucking good.
Yeah.
There's not very many instances where I went, that was dog shit. I'll tell you one instance that I really let myself down on was Siege, when I wrestled Siege.
You think?
Yeah, man. Like, that was definitely me seeing him and Billy the day before and being like, shit, we need to do something, like, really harsh. So, and it was really harsh. I suplexed him off the fucking top turnbuckle to the outside on the grass.
Mental.
And he was like, "That's the worst thing I've ever taken." And I was just like, "I'm pretty sorry about that. I'm glad you got through it, but fucking hell." Like, in the end as well, the double knockout finish. Like, well, I was like, we should just smash each other in the face for the finish. And like that was like, I don't know, there was just not, I didn't put enough effort into that, you know. I just felt like I didn't afterwards anyway. That's the feeling I got. But you know, a lot of people mocked for it apparently. So
Yeah, I enjoyed that match.
it's the same with the four way with Bonzi, Ty, and AD. Like and fucking that, there was bits of that where it just sort of stopped dead, and I was just like, oh god. And then there was other bits like I just didn't know what the fuck I was getting myself into in that match. To be honest with you, I didn't really plan anything, and like I never like I like wrestling Ty. I like wrestling single matches with him and all that. And I just felt like that was a bit sloppy on all the fronts. But it looks really mint on a comp, and you know it probably is really mint when you watch it back. But I just see, when I watch shit back, I always just see like a negative. I
Yeah.
always look for the negatives, and I'm like, that you see there, right there, where it went dead in the crowd and we went dead. That's not good enough.
So you mean more like sloppy in terms of the timing and stuff?
Yeah, shit like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I mean, in terms of everything, to be honest with you, like, well, not the wrestling in that match is mint. Like, but for me personally, like, I just look at every aspect. I'm hunting down the bits that I didn't like,
Yeah.
that I just don't like about myself or about the match or whatever. And like, there was a lot of things that just went wrong in like what I would call like kind of big shows for me. But like, there's a lot more stuff that just outweighs that, so I can look back kind of happy about it.
Yeah.
Not really like sorry. I'm more sorry for the people that I might have hurt. Like
Yeah.
I fucking bursting Dave Williams open, I burst Ross open, and I kind of remember their faces and being like, fucking hell, I kind of feel kind of bad for doing that. You know, I feel kind of bad nowadays. I'm not, you know, I'm a soft soul, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. That ties in perfectly to you just mentioning the matches we had. Before I met you, I had this. I was kind of intimidated, but well, not just you, but some other people as well, from the forum persona, I guess,
Yes.
and
yes,
also just your pure aggressive style of wrestling.
of course.
Like
yeah.
I remember I was at Northern Britfest 4 at Scotswood, that massive show, and you came out. You just had this look on your face. It was just so believable that you were just a fucking like machine. And so I went to Newcastle and I was going to wrestle Farrell. He had something wrong with his foot. I've already told this story, but seeing as it involves you, I may as well tell it again. Farrell was like, yeah, I've got hurt ankle. And I was like, well, I'm not going to travel over up to Newcastle if you're not going to wrestle. And he's like, no, I'll wrestle. So I go to Newcastle, I turn up, and he's just wearing like a Hawaiian shirt all day, not really speaking to me. Like, actually, he just give me these sly looks and just start laughing to himself. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? So I sit down, and you just walk up to me, right? Never spoken to you before. And you just start miming these strikes against the wall. And you're like, oh, we're going to have to do some pure devastating strikes on this.
Really?
And I was like, what? And you were like, in our match. And I looked over and Steve was just like giggling in the corner, just like...
Christ. What the hell?
So I was just like, fucking hell, I'm going to get killed. And then we got talking, and I kind of realised, yeah, you were just just like the rest of us, really. And in fact, I remember Barnsley came up to us, he said, you got to do a porno elbow in this match. I still don't know what a porno elbow is.
Elbow? Yes, it's basically where you just lift your shirt up, rub your nipple, and do an elbow. Porno elbow. But
yeah, then we had the match, and it's one of those things sometimes where you meet someone and you just have that chemistry when you wrestle, and then afterwards you kind of become friends. It's a weird thing, but that's kind of what happened, I think.
yeah, man. To be fair, everyone's gonna be friends. Like when we meet, like that was always the case. To be honest with you, it was always like a bluff that were really aggressive and harsh and nasty and shit.
Yeah.
You know, like until you wrestle with and you realise that I'm actually not going to really punch you in the face. It's just going to look really like harsh and feel kind of a bit ravenous.
Yeah.
It's afterwards where people are like, you know, the UV bunch will just be like, that was, you know, they'll come up to you and you'll start being part of the in crowd and you'll hear all the in jokes and you'll get some of them and some of them you won't, you know,
Yeah.
and shit like that. And that's, you know, it's basically just our version of integration. I cannot for the life of me remember punching a wall. I bet it was under Farrell's orders as well. Proper spellbound by Farrell.
Yeah.
Proper got the magic dust. Proper sprinkled it all over us and just went, go, Effie Rage. Oh no, it would have been A-pop back in there. A-Pop going fall on the wall and tell him you can feel shit. Does that, he's a proper little instigator.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
Instigator of devious ploys.
But it's funny again. That match we had, you were supposed to win, and I was like kind of climbing the ranks, I guess you could say, at that point within the little bubble, and
The journey.
yeah, and I can't remember what happened. Like Chris Goodwin got involved or something, and then the finish didn't go to plan. You missed the Lego man. You just said, "Cover us." So I covered you and I pinned you, and Farrell's on commentary and he's like, "What?"
That's pretty mental.
I just found that really funny, to be honest.
Is that on video?
Yeah, there's a comp of it at least. Yeah.
I don't have that. I don't have that in my archives. I've got a big archive of comps.
I have to send it to you.
But I've got to see that now. I've got to add to my collection.
It was a good little match. I enjoyed it. And then the second time we were supposed to wrestle at SWF, and it was that four-day weekend kind of thing where you came down for NAW and you were sick.
Oh Christ! Yeah, man.
And you were like sick one day, well the next day, then you were sick the next day, and so the first day, yeah, go on.
That's the one I remember because I remember like coming out of this illness and actually having, I think, a fucking really good match with you.
Yeah.
I might not have been at my strongest, but I was sort of like, I was putting over that I was sick beforehand, and I was putting over I was sick during the match.
Yeah, we did that little thing where I had some water and I offered it to you and then threw it away.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just started like beating the shit out of me and saying, "I'm fucking sick."
Yeah, like I just thought, especially because I felt like shit, man, when we got off the bus in London, and we got all the way to like Aylesbury or whatever, and then I had to just sit in that hotel room while yous were all over there, proper just snuggled up, proper wrapped tight, trying to sweat it all out, and then I think I had a bath or something.
Yeah, I remember.
And then because I was submerged in water, it's a really good way to lose like any kind of chest sickness or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like just a really hot bath. I just came back over and I was like, I'm not fucking leaving this without wrestling. I've got to fucking wrestle Luke. Basically, yeah. I can't let the motherfucker down. Can't let anybody down.
Well, it's interesting you say you always look at the negative, and I did love that match we had. It was really good, great stuff. But the first day we were supposed to wrestle, and that was the day where the event took place at night. Loads of people were there. The atmosphere was ridiculous. We had all this great stuff planned. And then the second day, people had left, and the atmosphere wasn't that great. But
yeah, man.
But it was still, we did some nut stuff like T-bones off the top rope. The fucking, you were supposed to give me a sit-out powerbomb off the apron through a table.
Yeah.
you just dropped me and just gave me a jackknife instead.
Oh, that's it. I tried to. Did I bomb you over the ropes, or did I climb outside with you and then just bomb you? I think I just done that.
Yeah, we were both on the outside of the ropes.
I tried to pick you up the first time. I was like, fucking hell, I feel weak as shit.
Yeah, we had to do it twice.
Nothing on us. I had no food on us or anything. No, I've just been ill, puking me ring, stealing me ring all over the place, and now I'm picking people up for power bombs through tables.
Yeah.
So, but like, I'm glad I got you up for the second time though.
Yeah.
But it was. I reckon it worked out, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
To be fair, with the lack of crowd and stuff like that, I think at that point I was still like, I don't even give a shit if there's a crowd here. I want to feel people. I want to feel people out to see what kind of wrestling ability they've got.
Yeah.
To see if they're sick. To see if we can just pull off sickness without a crowd.
Yeah.
And the crowd helps, obviously.
Yeah.
Especially when they're into it. But at that time, I think I was still buzzing enough to be able to just wrestle, just in front of two people or one person with a camera,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I love it. I love remembering it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I wish we'd done another big one, because we were both around for years after that. It just never happened, really. Oh no, fuck, we did that tag match at XBB, the show in the ring. Remember that? Who was it? You and Birch against me and Jesus Jr.
Oh Christ!
Tables match. I always forget about that one. It's like a little footnote, really.
Did that get videoed?
Yeah.
Did that ever surface the video, though?
It didn't, no. I've got the full match. I got someone to film it from the crowd.
That's another one you've got to get for me?
Yeah.
I've got clips of me and Birch. Oh, no, was it me?
You and GBH.
Me and GBH, that was it, aye.
Yeah.
That was a fucking that was a solid match. I even got little fans after that. A little 5-year-old kid proper just became me fan instantly after watching us once. Like, I've got the star power.
Yeah, the tag match we actually came out and the lights went out, so we wrestled in darkness for about 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I can't remember much from that, but
no, it wasn't very memorable. But
well, the thing is, like I said before, it's like a case of I need the video. I need the evidence that I've actually wrestled. Otherwise, you're like, I'll just be like, you're joking. I didn't do that.
Well, my only real memory of actually being there, outside of watching the video back, was I hit you over the head with something like a tray or something, and I didn't hit you really that hard, and you were just like, "Come on, fucking hit us!" So I just fucking twatted you then. But
not good enough.
Yeah.
But oh god, there's just certain things about wrestling that even the high spots that I should remember, I just totally forget that I've actually done that, or I was there, or whatever.
Yeah.
Especially now, it's getting on now. It's been God. When's the last, I wrestled 2 years ago, nearly. That was the last time I wrestled Dave at at the final Better Fest, I think it was.
Alright.
And that kind of showed myself what kind of age I was reaching. Because, Dave was just, pinning us, and snuffs were just flying out my face, and I was spitting in my hair, and I was farting and stuff like that in the match. I was like, Christ, it's just oldness just surfacing. Proper. That's what happened. He pinned us, and I just went. I was just like, Christ, this is age showing.
Yeah. Well, now that we're on that thread, I mean, how do you feel about BYW just looking back on it now, these days?
Ooh, it's one of a kind. One of a kind. It's that era is anyway. You can't really match that era now. I don't know what people are doing now. Are people still wrestling properly? Is there still a thriving community for it?
Not as far as the people we knew. I don't think really.
Yeah,
I think people do matches every now and again, but outside of the people who actually do it pro, I don't know.
It's we never really passed it on because we're not really a generational kind. We're not multi-generational, as it were.
No, I remember the late 2000s. There was some newer guys coming up, but then I think they just kind of. I'm not sure actually what happened to them. To be honest, they might be down with RCW or Farrell or something. I really don't know.
Well, in the early 2000s, it's well, what happened in the late 90s is the past. At that point for me, and it happened years ago, and we were just modernizing it a bit, and it was only a span of 3 years, between I think it was wrestling dying, a backyard. I don't know, the backyard link. I don't know how long that survived for really, but it was going quite strong for a long time before we came on the scene, before there was a UK community. And then that kind of was the inspiration for a little. Well, it wasn't really the inspiration. It was more encouragement to fucking actually do a fed with cameras and organization, rather than just doing a move on a field with your best mate. And for that, it just felt like they were passing that over. That was getting passed over to us, and we've got nobody to pass that over to really.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing really like that today. Fucking there was ECW, man. There was WWF Attitude Era. All that kind of stuff is proper inspiration to go out there and proper try stuff. But I don't think you get that with WWE. I don't think it builds itself like that anymore.
Not really, no.
It builds itself more if you want to do this, you only do this in this forum. Anywhere else, it's not even good. And it's not that case at all. It's we pull off some of the best shit, and we'll have fucking pro wrestlers stealing off us.
Yeah.
I've fucking heard shoot videos where people are just oh, that's a good move, I'll steal.
Yeah.
Some pro wrestler fucking, I don't know, not necessarily this guy, but let's just say Billy Gunn or something. You're like, fucking hell, Billy Gunn, he's making like fucking grands, and he's fucking stealing shit off a fucking kid in the fucking backyard. But it's not Billy Gunn, you know.
Yeah.
Just in case Billy Gunn hears it. Doesn't want to get into a fight and fucking take a Fearmaster.
What are some of your favourite matches that you've had? If you can remember them.
Fucking hell. Fucking hell. That's I was going to say before, it's about 15 years worth of matches there.
Yeah, that's true.
Almost. Good 12 at least. God, there's no one match. Every year there's been like a shining match. Now, like, I don't know. I kind of like all the matches that I have where I've been aggressive, like overtly aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, I like that kind of attitude, displaying that kind of attitude. There's a lot of matches that I've had really good matches where I'm like kind of underdog, and I kind of look kind of weak until a certain point. And, you know, like, I don't know, like, there's different ways I like matches. There's different, I don't know, there's no favourite. I can't choose one.
That's cool. Well, when you say about the aggression and stuff, when I wrestled you, again, it would almost bring something, or start to bring something out of me, where it was to get into that kind of aggressive mode, where it just feels like, I don't know, I can't explain it. There's some people you wrestle and you just wrestle them, and you know they hit you and you just don't feel anything, and you kind of almost go through the motions a little bit. But with that stiffer style sometimes, and again that aggression, kind of brings something more out, I think. And I kind of experienced that with you and with Dave Veal as well.
Yeah, man. It drives you to hit back, basically.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, for me, when I was doing it, I was like, I'm not worried about how hard they hit me, as long as they're not pushing us into a lapse of unconsciousness or something, you know. Yeah. As long as I'm not getting knocked out by them. And there's only one person that's ever really slugged us in a match, like 4 times in a row. And it was a ground and pound. And it was Rody from NLW.
Alright.
And I took the 4 of them, I was like, whoa, shit. And I just sort of, I don't know if I tell them to calm down the fucking punches or anything, but I just kept on going with the match. And I think I just joked about it afterwards with him, and that was about it. Like, I'm not worried about being hurt like that. Like, I know that it's not a real fight. I know you don't really hate us or anything, you know. But and with that, I expect full trust. So I trust you as much as you should trust me.
Yeah.
So with that, you know, like, if you punch me for real, I'm not gonna get upset. I'm gonna be like, fucking, you want to pull that a bit?
Yeah.
Before you hit us again and really fucking blacken me eye. But yeah, there's been things like that where I've, you know, like I said before about the headbutts, and I've burst people open with headbutts to the forehead, and I just wasn't expecting that to happen. Like, I was trying to recoil as much as possible, and then I was still driving my head into the head. And they were always pretty cool about it. Like Ross and Dave, they've always been cool about it. Everyone's been cool about wrestling with me, and I don't know whether that's a front or not. So I just got to take it at face value. Like,
I think it is. I mean, it's fun wrestling here, I think.
Like, I that's what I drive out of people. I want them to feel like the fucking adrenaline I feel.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it doesn't work like one way. It sort of has to be that for both of us, in my matches at least.
Yeah.
But like, if we want to go back to like favorite matches and stuff, there's one like favorite solid match that I like rewatching, and that's again, it's me versus Birch at Betterfest. I don't know why. It's it could be just the comp, but it just seems well put together.
Yeah.
But I've watched the full match a couple of times, and it is quite, you know, there are bits of it, you know, where we're talking about silence and lapse of silence and shit like that, and moments of stalling. There's plenty of that in that match. But I don't know. Like, there was a lot that just gets people roused out of it.
Yeah.
I think there's just it's more moments with me rather than matches. Like, I get a lot of moments in matches, and that sort of, if I have been making a bit of a ruin out of it, it sort of outweighs that. with the moment that I'm trying to pull about, you know.
Yeah.
Like it could be a fucking top rope spot or something like that, you know. Just brings it out. It makes you forget about that little bit of quietness before or that little botch.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, I was going to ask you if you regretted any of it, but I mean, considering you said that you don't really feel that much pain these days, I'm assuming that's not the case.
No, I mean, there's little. The only thing I get is little, you know, aches and pains now and again, and that's mainly because I sit in front of a laptop on my bed, like I'm doing right now, and it's just I'm just perching myself basically.
Yeah.
But like I like, you know, I haven't been out of shape as such. I still go out running, and I still, you know, when I do work, it's usually heavy lifting and all that. So I don't go to the gym or anything. I just sort of use that. I use that as me kind of exercise. And, like, I don't know. I watch what I eat as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still smoke and drink heavily, so what the hell does it matter? You know, it's just one of those things. I don't know, like, I often do think if somebody offered us a match, I'd still have a double take on it. I'd still think I want to prove that I could to myself.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm 1 year away from 30, so I shouldn't be feeling so old. And, you know, I feel like I could probably still do that. I could still, I don't know creative-wise, I'm not sure about creative-wise, but I could definitely perform.
Yeah.
I could definitely push myself to a performance standard. I don't know about a main event standard, but I could definitely be a curtain jerker. No.
Do you ever think you will then, based on that?
Don't know, get the offer.
Yeah.
Like, the thing about it is, I wouldn't go back to wrestling on grass. I wouldn't go back to wrestling on gym mats.
No.
Because that shit hurts.
Yeah.
Like, that, I mean, wrestling rings hurt, but there's a little bit of suspension, usually.
Yeah.
And there's a, like, and plus it's more like I like wrestling in a ring because that's where I think, like, when I'm thinking about a match, I'm thinking about a ring.
Yeah.
You know, the wrestling.
So much more you can do as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, even when I was in the backyard and I was doing it on grass, I was still thinking like it was in a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes anyway. Like, other times if I'm standing there and it's there visualized for us, it'll just be done with it. But like on a train, somebody always thinking of it in a kind of wrestling event, in a ring kind of way.
Yeah. It's crazy to think we would literally just wrestle on a patch of grass and that was it basically. I mean, sometimes WCW would put up like 4 posts and some string and it was like, wow, this is like luxury.
I always laughed at that, me. I mean, like, Farrell did it with washing line. And I was like, what the hell? Like, UV never did that. The only thing would have boundary-wise is a cage or the wall that we're surrounded by or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, the whole boundary thing we didn't have. The same with titles. We didn't need titles. In fact, there was a better thing up for grabs. It was ownership, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, when Bonzi was the owner, you know, it could flip and, you know, he could get dieted and be out for a while and Richie'd be the owner. And then Bonzi'd have to fight for ownership again. So that's really, I reckon it was better than any title to be able to just win the ownership. I never won the fuck I like, but it was a good concept. But yeah, like, there should be stuff like that in pro wrestling in general anyway. Just to change it up. That's just one of the unique ways you can change it up.
Yeah.
Battle for ownership, have a tournament or something. But
Interesting.
like the whole wrestling, like, backyard and all that, like, it's hard to leave it. It's hard to just stop thinking about it sometimes.
Yeah.
And the whole wrestling in general, like the wrestling in a ring and all that, like, obviously it sort of crosses my mind a lot. Well, not a lot, but sometimes.
What's okay? I know you don't like favourites, but what are some of your fondest memories of, like, just moments where it was at an event or something where it wasn't a wrestling match, but just, you know, a cool. I mean, for me, one of them for me was when I stayed over yours with Dave Williams, and
yeah.
we took a little walk up to the Angel, and you were kind of giving us like the the BYW history tour and stuff.
Get in. Yeah, did we even go to the college? Was the college still existing?
No, I don't think. No, we didn't.
Oh.
But it was, yeah, we were just up there. It was a night. It was just really cool and just chilled out and stuff. And
Yeah, man. Like
little things like that. I love.
I think there was a whole week where Dave Veal and like Oz and Selby and all that came up, and it was literally just getting drunk and high at mine, and like me floor slowly just becoming not a floor. It was just a big rubbish pile of McDonald's and just loads of crap, and it was just funny as hell. And being down Bonzi's, we went to Bonzi's, and like, you know, Pac was there and Gary was there, and it was just loads of us like playing like Micro Machines on the PlayStation and sitting around watching Metallica live shit and stuff like that. And it was like, I don't know, it was just like really one of those kind of times. There's been plenty of times like that though. There's too many times again to count where I've just been like, it's non-wrestling related. You're just chilling, you know. Yeah. I like to go down Saffron Walden and like see Burton and Selby and all that. Just to see them, you know.
Yeah.
I need to wrestle. Just they provide all the entertainment I need. But yeah, the thing about it is, it's always fun to go away because for me anyway, just being a Geordie, just going anywhere like 50 miles out the way is pretty fascinating because it's like people talk differently and they go on differently. There's different slang and there's different attitudes, you know. Like everyone up here originally, like when we first started wrestling, like Chavas were proper massive. Like there was just like everyone was a Chava, everyone's a Chava, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And there was just none of that in like Saffron Walden. There was none of that like wherever I went, like to Wales or something. I never really saw any ratty kind of chavs. You know, there's never like, where you got who gives 20 pence now, you know. It's like, no, there's none of that anywhere apart from here. And like, that for me was like one of the major fucking happy points for us. It's just like, I'm glad this element of society isn't in this part of the world.
Well, I can definitely tell you there was in where I was from, in Wales.
Aye. There was?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
To be fair though, I have learned a lot about Wales and how ratty it can get.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I've been drinking in Newport now, I think. I think it was Newport. I think it was. And there was a kind of few Rajis there. And when I went to see GBH, I went down his one time. And I was shocked to see a Surrey version of a Chava. I was just like, it's pure the same. It's exactly the same except the voice. Yeah. But the voice still sounds ratty. It's just ratty in a southern way. And so fascinating. You're fascinated by. I remember. Do you remember Kendall Mint Cake?
From the forum, yeah.
Yeah. We were at Betterfest, and like a plane, like a jumbo jet, fucking flew over. Must have been gone to Stansted or something. And it was like, it wasn't particularly low, but he was like, "Whoa! I've never seen a plane that low before." And I could not help but like turn and just sort of laugh to myself and go, "What? Is he coming from legit another world?" Like, and obviously Kendall, where he does come from, there's no fucking airport apparently, so and fucking planes are obviously tiny little blips in the sky.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's fascinating things like that. It's oh god, it's just so funny.
Right, two little stories that I want to get your side from, if you can remember these. First one, they both took place at the same hotel in Luton during an NAW show, and you were in some room smoking with, I think, Denzel maybe, and and we're all in this other room, and Dell's on the phone, and he calls up your room, and he's pretending,
I remember that shit. We put a shower cap on the fire alarm, the smoke alarm, and he rang up fucking the phone in the room, and I proper jumped me. I did jump. I was proper shit myself, and then I was on the phone to him, and I was like, and I just didn't. I'm sure I didn't get that it was Dell instantly. I was just like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
Whoa, we're being told, yeah. Whoa, we've been caught." And then I put the phone down, and I still think I went away convinced that. And then until like somebody had said, "No, man, I think it was probably Denzel or Dave Williams proper saying that he's pulling your leg, man. It's fucking Della Farrell or something."
Yeah.
And I was probably like going on a paranoia because I was smoking weed.
Yeah.
It was just like, you know, like Christ, I don't want to get kicked out of the hotel and have to just walk around wherever. Where were we?
Luton.
Luton. We're in Luton. Didn't want to walk around Luton all night.
But you were fighting back though, because Dell was saying that he was going to dispatch the fire engines and stuff, and I heard you shouting on the other end, "Dispatch them then!"
I must have been drunk as well for a little bit. You know, like I can't remember a lot of the stuff. Like that goes hand in hand. Like
Yeah.
I'm afraid to say that's the character of Christopher Farrage.
But I can't believe you didn't clock it when he said my name's Dave Luton. Dave Luton.
I don't recall half of that. Like,
Yeah.
I remember picking up the phone. I remember being all, like, consciously thinking this was real. And just being like, oh, shit. And then if I got argumentative, it was blatantly because, like, I was drinking or something. And I was like, the drink had just kicked in to the point of retaliation. It's like, oh, fuck this. I'm not going to be courteous if you're a cunt.
Yeah.
And then, like, it turned out I was probably kicking off to Dell. Trying to pull a prank on us. But that and I don't know if your second one's going to be the pikey lass.
Yeah, that's exactly the one. Now, I wish that I had, like, a camera or something, because it was just pure gold for, like, 10, 15 minutes, and I just can't remember hardly any of the dialogue, but you squaring off with that woman was just one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Well, I was definitely drinking for that stage.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember it. That's the curious thing, because I think it was because it was a confrontation, and I don't get into confrontations that often.
Well, give us a rundown of that, then.
Well, that was that woman being rude while we were having a nice game of Monopoly in the foyer or whatever.
Yeah.
And having a drink. And basically that wifey came in and was given, it was like a Nigerian lad or something behind the counter. And she was giving him shit. Like, because, I don't know, I can't even remember what the reason was, but she was just giving him shit. And she was being really loud about it. And, you know, I think it was, again, because Farrell's there, instigating the devious play.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was sort of like, you should go over there, you know. I think this might have been the F.A. Rage era as well, so it was like, you should go over there, F.A. Rage. You should just go over there. And Dell proper getting in the air as well, because Dell likes to be the fucking Emperor Palpatine sometimes. Proper whispering, crush her. Yeah. And that basically, again, it was fucking instigated. I just went up and just, I sort of stepped out of my element to confront a lady who wanted to shoot us. But, and like, basically, she was threatening to get a pikey husband or something get to come and chin us, which she never did because she was arrested, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't. That was the great thing.
Yeah.
Basically, I was very drunk, and I wasn't apologizing. I was being like, didn't like to the concierge bloke. I was like, oh, didn't listen to her man. She's a knacker and all that. You know, she's a proper knucklehead. I can't remember what we were arguing about, but I remember, like, just saying you should just fucking leave, you know? Why the fuck are you even here?
Yeah. But she started, like...
I'm sure it got a little bit more personal than that, because I'm a lot more, what's your reason for being like this nowadays? Rather than then, I was probably, like, really getting personal with her.
Well, I'm sure she turned around and said something to Dell, and you were like, oh, he's done nothing, and you were proper, like, face-to-face with her at this point, like...
There was some youngins with her, weren't there?
Yeah, like, I think Nikki and someone else.
Yeah, like, a couple of lads with the young'uns, and fucking she was having a gun at them or something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, who the fuck are you talking to? You're talking to fucking teenagers, you fucking old bitch. Off. You fucking, we're playing Monopoly here. Trying to have a nice quiet game of Monopoly, and you're fucking taking the piss and being loud and pitey.
She mentioned that her husband had left her or something.
Yeah, but she's going to get her. Going to get him.
Yeah.
Like, if I think I brought up some point like that. It's like, if he's left you, how are you going to get him? You know?
And then as she got, like, taken out by the police outside, I remember you just shouting, "No wonder your husband fucking left you."
That is mental.
Just to cap it all off, there was like a half-smoked cigar on one of the tables in the lobby, and you just picked it up and started smoking it, and you're like, "This is me victory cigar."
What? Oh Christ!
Brilliant.
I'm glad somebody's got better memories of this than I have.
I wish I could remember everything. It was honestly, it was just so good. It was brilliant. I wish I could remember everything, but
Christ, that was 8 years ago, man. Like,
yeah, fucking hell.
That was 8 years. That feels like not fucking 3 years ago. That feels like it should. It doesn't feel like decades don't feel the same like since the 90s.
Yeah, it's weird.
These felt like it was 100 years long. But the noughties felt like it was about exactly 10 years.
Yeah. I feel like the whole thing, the whole backyard thing, it feels like both a lifetime ago, like, wow, did I even do that?
Yeah.
But also, like, not that long ago, even though we're kind of slowly moving, or quickly moving past it, year by year, you know?
I mean, like, that's the thing as well, it proper creeps.
Yeah.
The years are proper creeping by, and I'm not even noticing half the time, like, fuck, it's been 5 years since I fucking did that, or whatever. And, like, yeah, it's a weird duality, like you're saying. It's like, they're short, but they're fast, but they're slow. Yeah. Although, you know, that was long ago, but it was actually, it felt like not long ago. Then I guess it's your perception of time from when you're a little kid, a single-digit age, to compare to when you're like 20 or 50, you know. But it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing, life, mate. You know,
man.
It's. I always look at it like that as well. Like, a lot of people are very straightforward with life, and it's like, go to work and, you know, commit to the deed even though you might not like the deed. And it's like, well, if I don't like the deed, why would I commit to it? It's only one life, and I want to live it. I want to see most of it. I want to do things. I want to, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. There's quite a selfish thing, but, you know, at the same time, like, I might be helping somebody in some other sense, you know.
Yeah.
I just, again, any excuse not to go into a factory and work, basically. Which I have to do because, you know, D's and E's in school, lads. D's and E's, that's what happens. Better start writing a book or something, otherwise it's a laborious task forever.
Yeah, man.
But that's what it is, though. Like, I always like projects. I think like, with this book, I've been writing this book for, like, 6 or 7 years now.
Wow.
I don't know how I went on without it. Like, I don't know how my life was without it, because it just seems like I always have that to go back to if I'm not already doing it.
Yeah.
Like, whereas before, it was like, it was either wrestling or nothing. It was like games or something. It was nothing, like, in particular. It was always like, oh, well, I can go and watch a movie or play a game or, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, oh, I can read something new, like a new thing that's happening, or discover something new, or write about something new, you know. And, like, that's my way of sort of staying fresh.
Yeah, I almost feel like I wouldn't know how to cope without creating something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when I was a kid, I wrote books, or tried to write books, and then I got into wrestling, and that's very creative as well.
Yeah. Man.
And then these days I make videos, and without actually... I just can't understand people who don't create something. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just one of those things that's weird to me.
I understand exactly what you mean. Like, I work with those people, like, because I work doing layman's work, like, you know, just laborious stuff. Like, and it's obviously you work sometimes with people who just don't have any kind of that. They don't have that. It's like live for the weekend type of mentality, and it's like, God, I don't know how you can do it. Like, I got bored of living for the weekend by the time I was 18, and I was only and I was eligible to drink by then. I got bored of that shit quite quickly, and people still go on about it, like, you know, oh, gonna sit and watch the X Factor tonight. Can't wait for it. It's like, what? You can't wait for it? Come on, man. Surely there's more to life than that.
Yeah, I couldn't function just being a spectator. I need to be creating stuff.
I mean, when I was a spectator, when I was watching all the wrestling and all that, even when I was wrestling, like afterwards, when I was watching it, I'm like on the edge of my seat. And like I can't stop moving. I want to be there again, or I want to be there, like, at WrestleMania when somebody comes back for the win or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what? And you just, that's your creativeness. You're like, I want to go. I want to show what I can do. And people should be like that.
Yeah.
Even if it's shit.
Yeah, I mean, for better or worse,
It's better to hear. All right, like there was a story where Bonzi's told somebody in TWXW, "Oh, you shit." They were asking Bonzi like what his match was like, and Bonzi just bluntly put, "It was shit." And then the kid just quit there and then.
What?
And like just never wrestled again. And it's like, what kind of attitude's that, man? He obviously wasn't either into it, or he was really fucking hurt by Bonzi's comments.
Yeah.
Which, isn't unheard of. People have been fucking hurt by fucking plenty of that cunt said. But nah, he's a canny lad. Everyone's a canny lad. And creativeness, man.
Yeah.
You've just got to drive it forward, and even if the criticism's bad, you got to go, okay, it's shit. I'm gonna fucking reformulate. I'm gonna move pieces around.
Well, anyway, it's be a good time to wrap it up. But thanks for doing this, man. It's been good talking to you.
No bother, man. No bother. I'll come on again. I think Dell was whispering me like Emperor Palpatine. He was saying, "No, we should go on double team Sandog together."
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Proper Luke Schoon him to death. And I think if Bonzi ever gets a mic, I'm going to twist his arm to go.
Yeah, I was speaking.
That would be far more obscure. That would be a fucking weird. You'll have a weird kind of time with him.
Oh, I know. I think I spoke to him. I asked him about it, and I said, "Would you be up for it?" And he was like, "I do many things." That's simply the answer.
It's just been like some stupid little thing where he's blending words together. It's just like, be like air, Sandog. And then just go, bah! And just be weird and make weird noises.
Yeah, he's a very unique individual, to say the least.
That's voodoo. Voodoo. But me and Dell are definitely coming on. Now that you've got individuals we're coming on for the tag team.
Nice. Cool. It'll be a fun one. I loved all like the little arguments you and him would have at NAW shows. Just the kind of playful kind of teasing between both of you.
Oh, I mean, like, it's still like that kind of today. It's definitely more pally than it was. Like, he used to, like, I think after a couple of times, he really grinded me gears. Like, when I was with Farrell, him and Farrell, like, a couple of times him and Farrell proper grinded me gears.
Yeah.
And I was proper just sitting on a train in a huff. Like, shut the fuck up, man. I can't be arsed with you. And, it's a pretty cool thing. Ups and downs. Lefts and rights, ABCs and starts.
Alright, well thanks man, nice one. Hope to speak to you again soon, and it's good to hear some of your thoughts on the crazy world of BY-Dub.
It's an absolute pleasure, and there's just literally too much to see.
Yeah man.
So, anytime.
Cool. Speak to you soon man. Take care.
Peace.
Alright, so that is it for this week. I know it was a bit of a long one, but I figured splitting into 2 hour-long parts would be a bit redundant, so I just lumped it all in there. Again, hope you enjoyed. I felt like it kind of tailed off a bit from my end, the interviewing aspect and stuff, but either way, I just really enjoyed everything that Farrage had to say. So that is it for this week, and next week will be another Alex hosted podcast, and I don't know what that will be. I don't know who it's going to be, but either way, look forward to it, and as always, thanks for listening.